What's up everybody, New Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be unboxing Playmates Mega Kong and Mega Godzilla. That's right, it's time for the big boys, the big, heavy, very expensive guys. These ones were kind of a lot of money. And as we'll see when I take a look at this Godzilla, it's a little bit of a ripoff for him only, but only mine. You'll see. Well, we started off last time with Godzilla, so let's check out Kong first. The box here is pretty cool. Again, you got the Godzilla vs. Kong banner in the back. You've got this nice blue stuff down here. Try Me over here, showing you how to use him. The packaging is nice enough. Kong's on full display, and then the back is really cool. I really like this image of Kong with the glowing eyes. That's pretty sweet. All right, let's tear into it and check him out. Oh, and then I guess on the bottom, it tells you to look for Mega Godzilla. Here's your big instruction manual telling you how to use him. I kind of like the illustrations they have for Kong, but there you go. I like that they have pictures. It's easier for kids to understand. Starting off, it comes out with a little toy soldier here who's got a pretty interesting pose with the gun up to his side. Here he is way down next to Kong, and I don't know if that's movie accurate. He actually kind of seems a little big to me, but maybe not, because when you pull back this far and you see this tiny little thing in my hand next to Kong, it seems kind of size accurate. The only thing is that there's that shot where Kong's axe comes down and there's people running in front of it. And the axe seems bigger to the people in that scene than is the case here. So maybe it's just that the axe is a little too small. Let's quickly start out with the axe. It's not great. It's a similar sculpt to the smaller axe, although interestingly, the smaller one's a little better. It's got a little bit better paint, it shows off the texturing a little more, and you can see the wrap on the sides got a little more care put into it than is the case here. This one's kind of lazy. It's smooth and untextured, and when you finally get up into the wrap, it doesn't have any additional detailing. Comparing the wrap here to the actual thing in the film, you can't even tell what you're looking at. It just looks like nothing, but it's supposed to be Godzilla hide, and it doesn't have any texturing. You can't even really tell where it starts and ends. Also, the bone itself, I don't know why they went with brown for the color, because it's not brown in the movie. It's like more red and white, if anything. So brown's an interesting color in the first place, and then the wrapping doesn't really look good. It's not gray like it should be. And here on the side, it's painted in with the rest of the dorsal plate, so you can't even tell where the wrap starts and ends. So that's not great. Also, the paint is, I don't know if it's supposed to be all blue, but it's pretty chipped up here. It's kind of scuffed, so it doesn't really come across very well, and it's not like it's highlighting any details. It just looks like a bad paint job. Like, this one's a little scuffed up too, but at least here on the smaller one, it seems to be highlighting some details, whereas on the big one, it's not. It's actually less detailed on the big one than it is on the small one. The sculpt as well, and the paint. So that's a bit of a downgrade and a bit of a disappointment, but it's okay. It's still fine. You can swing it around. It's kind of cool. It just doesn't look great. What does look great is Kong. Oh yeah, I'm a big fan. Now, they do this interesting thing with some of these bigger ones where they kind of get rid of articulation. His feet still articulate. He's got this swivel up in his chest, but the legs don't move. The legs have no articulation. Not sure why that's the case. The arms can go out to the side, that's nice. You can move them out like this, and then you've got the hand here. Finally, you've got Kong's head, which goes from side to side, and then the jaw, which opens and closes. In total, there's 11 joints of articulation, but I really like the arms because they kind of crunch like that, which is okay. But they've got a really good range of motion. You can do a lot with them, and so you can get Kong into some cool poses. Some poses that you can't get a lot of other figures into. He does not have as much range or articulation as the smaller figure though, so that's a little disappointing. What he does have is a much more movie accurate sculpt. I think this Kong looks really good. I think the feet are very well done. You can see the toenails and the knuckles and the fur. The fur actually looks a lot better here than it does on the smaller ones. You got the belly button indent, you can see some muscle impression, you've got the big chest. Again, they do this weird thing where the scar here cuts off at the chest and then doesn't continue like it should. The beard is pretty well defined. You can see the cutoff from the lips to the beard. The face looks really good. It's the most movie accurate face they've given him. The only weird thing is that his lips curled like this, which is a little more reminiscent of the 2005 Peter Jackson Kong than it is of the 2021 Kong. The ears are both nicely done, and then you've just got good fur all throughout the back. He's got really good texturing, and so I like it a lot. You've also got these like muscle definition in the arms, which is cool. And I really like that face. Plus, he's got a nice brown paint job, so he actually looks like the Kong from the movie. And on a very minor detail that doesn't really register on this camera, there is a tiny little chip in the ear here where you can see they actually tried to give Kong the chip in his ear from the movie. Probably because they created this using the 3D model from the film. Also, with the bigger figure, you got rid of the back problem. It's here, so you can press him and make him roar here. But it's not sticking out of his back like it was on the smaller one. Here with the axe, he looks really good as well. Again, I think the axe is a little small proportionally for Kong, so it's not quite movie accurate, but it looks fine enough. Comparing the two roaring Kongs, the big one is far superior in every single way, so it's a huge step up. The bolts on the back have primarily been covered, so you can't really see them, such as down here. You can tell that there's bolt here, but it's covered up. Same with on the butt, and then on the back here. The only thing that sticks out is this little screw here that you're supposed to take apart for the batteries, and that makes sense to leave exposed. He does have these big lines in his side here so that he can articulate a little more, but I'm willing to forgive that. The head is also not rubbery, so it doesn't have the same weird look as the smaller one. There are two ways to activate Kong's roar. The first is the button on the back shown here. Seems the primary feature of this is just that you can get the eyes to light up, which is cool. I like that they give Kong glowing red eyes. It's pretty neat. Kong does have glowing eyes in the MonsterVerse films. And then the other one is this body twist that he can do. It's kind of funny that they made him twist both ways, can trigger the roar. But then you can get Kong doing some cool chopping action in either direction. Now the mouth isn't connected, so that's probably why it doesn't have a rubbery head, so if you want to make him roar, you have to do that manually. But again, I'm willing to forgive that, it's okay. I really like this. I think the face looks nice and mean and really cool. I like the size, and I think this is pretty sweet overall. Comparing him with the other Playmates Kongs, this is the 2017 Kong. He's much bigger than that one, which he should be. He's not proportionally bigger, but he's still bigger. You can tell that they're not similar sculpts, so they made a new sculpt, which is nice. Flipping them to the back, this one's got all the screw holes, so they made the improvement there as well. They don't really look a ton like they're supposed to be the same Kong, but that's more at the fault of the 2017 one not looking 100% screen accurate. Comparing him to the Giant Kong, he is again bigger than the Giant Kong, way more movie accurate. Why is this one black? Kong is not black in the movie Godzilla vs. Kong. Who made that choice, Playmates? Why did you do that? Doesn't make any sense. So having them side by side, it's pretty strange. It really highlights the flaws in this one. Also, this one's got the bolts on the back, so again, another big step up. So this is, in my opinion, Playmates' best Kong for 2021's Godzilla vs. Kong. By far, it looks the best. If you want one single Kong, go for this one. Comparing him to his ancient predecessor, Playmates' 2005 Roaring Kong, I don't know what this one's official name was. There are some differences. This one does have a little bit more of a popping paint design. That's because the Kong in the movie has those nice red scarring all over, so it looks a little more popping out. But this one has just as good of a paint job. It's equally as representative of what it was in the movie. Again, this is one of those Kongs with the rubbery heads, and he's got some interesting things as well. The chest here presses in to make him roar, makes his mouth open. This one's got that interesting roar where it kind of sounds like drums are going off in the background and then people are yelling and screaming and it makes it sound like he's chewing them, because I think he was supposed to like eat people. That was the gimmick with this one, is you could put people in his mouth. He wasn't supposed to swallow them, but I don't know. Maybe that was just the way I played with him, because you could hear people getting chewed up. This one does have the cool feature of the beating chest. That's sweet. And then of course the mouth does open on this one. That's also pretty sweet. The other thing that's cool about this one is that the roar doesn't cancel itself out every time a new one activates, whereas this guy, a new roar is triggered every time you touch it. Shut up! This one also has the added bonus feature of you can just turn him off. That's nice. Now he doesn't make any noise. Unless I'm stupid, I don't see an off switch on this Kong, so I think he just stays on and he roars every time you activate him. So again, these are two different approaches to the same thing. How do we make a roaring Kong figure? They're both pretty successful in it. This one I've got a lot of nostalgia for, but honestly, this one's got a really good sculpt. He's got a bit more articulation. He doesn't have the rubbery piece on his head, and the front of him is a little bit more well put together without the big button here. It's much more discreet on the back. I might have to say that this one's the better of the two. He's also bigger, and he's got more roars loaded in. He doesn't just have the one. So this Kong might be the better of the Kongs. It's for that reason that I will give this figure a 10 out of 10 on a Playmates scale. Now, one thing that's funny is that you can sync up the Kong's roars. They do just have the same roars, so you can sync it up so that there's like surround sound roaring. Except this guy, I guess, goes on a little longer. So there you go, Playmates Mega Kong. Now, without further ado, it's time to get on to the source of countless speculation, Mechagodzilla. The name implies that it would be Mechagodzilla in disguise, but it's not. It's just Godzilla. This was not the original Mechagodzilla toy. Of course, the original one leaked from a Playmates thing revealed that Godzilla was going to be wearing battle armor, and there's a lot of speculation as to if that was something that would appear in the movie or not. But regardless, let's check him out. Again, you got the nice packaging here, Heat Ray Godzilla, and then on the back, just Roaring Godzilla. This one does, of course, shoot projectiles, so let's check it out. Now, I haven't even finished unboxing this guy, and I see an immediate noticeable flaw with this figure that we will definitely talk about. Oh man, where did that guy just go? Oh man, give me a second. We almost had a tragedy. Our running foot soldier here, who actually has some pretty good sculpting and detailing for his size, he flew out of the package into the void, so I had to search for him. But I found him. He's okay. I rescued him. He's got different pose than the last guy, same scale as the last guy, so let's compare him to Godzilla. Godzilla, who's just barely bigger than Kong, and so way down here at Godzilla's foot, this maybe is size accurate, because he's pretty, you can't even like barely tell he's here. He's pretty size accurate for Godzilla. The thing I was talking about when I said there's an issue, Godzilla got a stubbed tail. Like, they really did him dirty on this one. Maybe they didn't want to create one that curled so that they could fit it, and they were trying to be conscientious of shelf space, probably just because they didn't want to package something huge. He's got a really stubby, small, unfortunate tail. Not quite the MonsterVerse Godzilla tail we know. In fact, comparing it to this, his tail's only just as long as the much smaller in scale Godzilla here. There's a pretty big size difference between the two, and the tails should be different. I mean, this tail's actually longer than this tail. If you were to go like this, you can really see that this tail's so much longer. I don't know why they had to do him this dirty. At least it's not like the same sculpt. They look different enough. So there's your size comparison and your body comparison between the two. This Godzilla may be a little bit more accurately painted in that he's a little darker, although he's missing the brown on the chest, and he's just kind of one tone throughout. He's just pretty gray. You get this weirdly shaped piece to make him roar, but they do cover the bolts with these little dots, which kind of look like buttons in and of themselves, but they're just these little skin patches to cover the bolts, so at least that's nice. There are some chunky parts you can see where this was put in. It's a little blocky, so you can see where the piece goes in, and then of course it's a pretty noticeable gap here at the tail. So as for articulation, you've got one piece in the tail, in the feet, so that brings us to a total of 3. The legs kick out, so that's 5. Arm is 6, 7. And the arm kind of goes out, which is nice. It's not a big difference, but it's still nice. The hands are 8, 9. And then the mouth is 10. Although the mouth isn't very articulated. It's mostly attached to the button. There you go. And now he lights up. One thing I didn't notice until he just lit up is that he's got a little pupil in there. That's a nice detail. The teeth look nice. The tongue looks nice. The tongue actually looks really nice. You've got the nice sculpting here with his gills. I like this headpiece. It looks a lot like he does in the movie, and then it does get a little unrendered, but there's still some detailing here. It just gets really unrendered in the chest. The legs aren't as detailed as some of the other Godzillas, and then the tail kind of loses all definition as well and gets pretty smooth. Dorsal spines don't have much detailing either, but I do like this translucent piece on the back. As always, I'm a big fan of those. It looks really nice here, except it is noticeable when it goes from the bright to the dark. That's pretty obvious. I like that his eyes go blue along with his spines, but if you've noticed, mine has the unfortunate error, and this being the only one I could get at the stores, the unfortunate error of this dorsal spine does not light up like the rest. They all light up except for this one, whose light must be dead, so it's kind of sad that that one doesn't light up like the others. But I do like that the spines light up one at a time. Interestingly, it's a lot like in the movie, it goes from top down, except in the movie he only does that when he's doing intimidation. When he does the blast, it goes from bottom up. So as for articulation, I think this one's pretty good. The speakers are much more hidden on this guy than they are on the other ones. It's just that the sculpt's a little unfortunate. It's not a great sculpt. It's just pretty unrendered, which is, I guess, kind of what we're used to. He's got this piece here so you can unscrew and put batteries in. But this one has a pretty fun gimmick. He's got the atomic blast. So you load up a little piece into his mouth, you press the button on his side here, and then he'll fire it out. Let me see if I can hold him in a place where I can catch it as well. Just like that. The little projectiles are only kind of defined here at the top that sticks out of his mouth to look like the atomic breath, but they're just these short little blasts. I guess it's kind of okay because in the film Godzilla does have a new shotgun atomic breath, which is his defense mechanism against Kong. Sitting inside of his mouth, it looks like the breath is just starting out, and then he fires it at you, but it's not got great range, but it's okay. It doesn't, you don't want to hurt anybody with it. It's not like a high velocity projectile. Just like that. Comparing him with the Kong counterpart, he is a little taller and they do look nice together. They're a good set and I like them both. I like the Kong a lot more than I like the Godzilla. Obviously you could tell I had a lot more to say about the Kong than I do the Godzilla. I would give the Godzilla a 6 out of 10 just because he's pretty unrendered. Mine unfortunately has that burnt out bulb that I don't know if there's a way to replace. So I give it a 6 out of 10. But I do like the gimmick. I really like the projectile atomic breath. That's very fun. Maybe I'll give it a 7 out of 10. It doesn't deserve a 6. I'll give it a 7 or an 8. I'll give it a 7, maybe even a 7.5, just because I do like the projectile, I do like that it glows, I like the eyes, and I love the roaring. So I'll be generous, I'll give this one a 10 and this one a 7.5. Especially because now that I consider it, I'm judging them on a Playmates scale. So against other Playmates figures, this one's actually pretty good. So against other Playmates figures, this one's probably like more of an 8. I know I keep just raising it. I'm not sponsored in this video. There's no pressure for me to say anything nice. Not that I pull my punches anyways. I say what I mean. So here you go, Godzilla and Kong together. Bam! And then he cuts his head off is what should have happened. The axe could cut through Godzilla's leg. How did it not take his head clean off? And then let's get our surround sound roaring. And then the good roar, the cool one. Different sculpts, I like that. They're not just copy and paste. They do look fine together side by side. Again, I like the translucent dorsal spines, but this one's got the much better tail than this guy, although I like the posing on this one better and I like the articulation better. It's also a very different approach to atomic breath than we saw with 2014, which was the only other big Godzilla that had an atomic breath feature. That one kind of rocketed out of his mouth while still being attached, which was a cool feature. I'm from the future. This video that you're watching was recorded 1,000,000 years ago. Okay, bye. This one just feels a little more classic, a little more 70s, 80s action figure style where you load it up in the mouth, they're these bolts, and then they fire right at you. But I do remember Godzilla fans being crazy enough to be like, oh man, the little bolts for the atomic breath. That means it can't be the real Godzilla because the real Godzilla doesn't have those kind of bolts. It's a toy, they're just projectiles for the toy. I think it's fun. That'll do it for this one, guys. I want to give a huge thank you to all my patrons on Patreon. If you want to support the Patreon, you can using the link in the description below where you can get early access to content, end credits, shout out, Discord community, and you can even request a video. All right. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time for the next one. D-Man, out.